thanks for stopping by. I'd like to preface this video by saying it is not a knitting tutorial, but it means to have something playing in the background while you work on your own knitting project. If you're like me and really enjoy having something on while you work, sometimes the content you like is very visually engaging and you're several hours in and haven't gotten nearly as far along in your project as you would have liked to. So that's where I come in. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. It is some day of the week, I'm not too sure. If you guys remember from my previous videos, I have been filming a lot of content just in rapid succession, so I'm not sure when things will be uploaded, but at the time of filming, it is currently Sunday afternoon. We are just 2 minutes after 3 p.m. my time, and it is the 10th of January, so hopefully sometime this week you will see this video because I have content to share with you. So as the video description, or at least the title indicates, we are working on the sock for my brother's fiance, or my future sister-in-law, whenever they decide to finally get married. They've been they've been engaged for several years. You probably know someone who's like that, where they've just been engaged for a very long period of time. But if you guys don't remember, from my knitting calendar, we are in January, and so because this is technically, okay, so I consider the start of the week Monday, even though the calendar says that Sunday is the start of the week. At least the calendars on our side of the globe say that Sunday is the start of the week, but I personally count Monday as the start of the week. So today's video, where I am working on the sock, it's still within the time frame for the first week of January. So future sister-in-law socks is the first week, and then the video you see somewhere after this will be me working on my partner's socks, which I've been working on for, goodness, like a year, maybe a year and a half. It feels like it's been forever, but I'm finally, I've done so many socks now that I'm kind of like, I got this, like I can do this. So that'll be another video, which will be filmed today as well. But today we are going to be working on the last day. So this Sunday is the last day of the week that I should be working on my brother's fiance socks, or my future sister-in-law socks, for January first week. And I haven't been cheating, but I'm not holding myself to be exclusive each week to that project. That's just my main focus. So I've actually been simultaneously working on my partner's socks while I've been working on my brother's fiance socks this first week of January. And I actually started, I cast on for my brother's fiance socks a little bit after I finished talking to you guys, when I was showing you all the yarn, or at least not all of the yarn, but giving you guys the breakdown of my yarn stash and how I plan to approach assigning yarn weights to different projects and things like that, which was Tuesday's video of this week. I'm thinking you're gonna see this after you see the yarn inventory video, which is Wednesday, not Tuesday. What am I talking about? Wednesday. I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday uploads. So if you're new here, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, most of the time, pretty consistent with that, is my like new official schedule. Anyway, so I have finished the first sock for my brother's fiance. This is DK weight. This is superwash merino, I believe it's superwash merino. It is 100% superwash merino, and yes, DK weight. This is the Hufflepuff colorway of a limited run of Hogwarts House yarns from Ravenswood Fiber Company. They have an Etsy shop, and they also have just a general website where you can buy all kinds of colorways. They have limited runs, and they also have like their permanent collection, and they have DK, sock, of course, and they have, I believe, bulky and worsted in like certain varieties. But if you guys have been watching me for a while, you know that I've mentioned a few times how I have grown to love knitting and a heavier weight yarn because it goes by so quickly. And when I'm thinking of time sensitivity, knitting gifts for my loved ones, that I'm looking for how many people can I knit for within the time frame that I need to have everything ready, because I don't live in the same state as my relatives and most people that I knit for. So I need to make sure that I have everything done before the shipping deadline for holiday shipping. So that's where the knitting calendar comes in. So if you've watched that video, it was a quick like 2-3 minute video where I was breaking down what my plans were and where I left off. So actually, before we start any more details of the socks, I think, yes, when I last showed you guys my knitting calendar, I had only I've only written down what I was going to do through the second or the first half of April, and I left the last 2 weeks. But now you can see I've gotten pretty much through July, except for this very last week of July. So you probably can't actually see from where you are what I have written here, but I will go ahead and tell you. So we left off end of or mid-April. So that second week of April, I was going to work on the Jolie Mimi cardigan, which I have tons and tons and tons of videos on that one. I think we're in like the 20s range of how long I've been working on that project. I've just been sticky today. Everything's sticking to me. I don't know. Lots of cat fur. So for the third week of April, I have assigned I said girl cousin hat. So in one of my pattern books, I believe it was Monday's upload, I show you guys this really awesome cat pattern book that I got from my brother and his fiance for my birthday in 2020. They sent me a couple different knitting books. There's one that's an activity book, so I'm not actually going to show you that in my perusing pattern books because it's more like fun little activities and projects, and not really, I mean, there are some patterns in there, but that's not like the focus of it. So it's not really worth showing you guys that because there isn't really anything to grab from. Awesome gift, but it's not quite what the perusing pattern books series is about. So the cat book that they got me, I know it's like super tangent, but the cat book that they got me did have some cool ideas in it, and so I found something that I could do for my cousin's daughter. So we're hoping to do a cowl and hat set. I do have enough bulky weight yarn to complete both projects. I found in my stash another cake that I had wound up from the shabby wrap that I made for my aunt 2 years ago, and I forgot about that because it wasn't part of like my packaged inventory bit that I was working on. So I opened another box. I was like, oh yeah, I still have tons more yarn, so I could definitely make both. Otherwise, I wrote down here hat because at the time I didn't realize I still had more yarn. So the cowl was a maybe, hat was a definitely, but now I can confirm it's a cowl and a hat. And then the last week of April, I'm going to be working on the magic number blanket. So that's the jumbo one, the one for my friend, my former 4th grade teacher who lives in another state, who I've been working on this project for a while, off and on. And so I'm going to commit to that last week of April to work on hers. And then May, again, we're doing my cousin's daughter's hat. Then we're going back to the blanket. Then we're going to do mittens for my cousin. And then the last 2 weeks of May are just mittens, because I haven't made mittens before. I imagine they're a lot like socks, except for I have that gusset part where the thumb is. And then June, I'm going to be working on fingerless gloves the first week for her son. And then I'm going back to the cardigan, Jolie Mimi cardigan. And then the third week in May, back to the fingerless gloves. And then the third week in June, excuse me. And then the last week in June is the fingerless gloves for my uncle. So I'm guessing, doing my cousin's son's fingerless gloves the first time around will give me the bearings I need to pursue doing the fingerless gloves for my uncle. And he does a lot of work outside. He's a handyman. He's retired, but he does a lot of side gigs and things like that. Or it's a chillier day and he wants to mow the lawn or do some yard work, then he'll have some gloves that he can just pop on underneath his garden gloves so that he's a little bit warmer. And then July, the first week of July, we have, again, continuing on with my uncle's fingerless gloves. And then the second week in July, I start on my brother's scarf. So I'm hoping to do the same situation with my cousin's boyfriend, who I talked about earlier, previous episode. I'm making a scarf for him, and then I'm going to attempt to do the same thing, or maybe revisit the one-row scarf that I made for my brother's fiancé the first year that I was knitting for everybody. That's a knit to purl to knit through the back, something like that. It's Stephanie Pearl McPhee, the Yarn Harlot. She's so well known. Crazy amount of followers on Instagram. That lady. The one-row scarf, I actually was introduced to the one-row scarf by Stacy Perry, who is Very Pink Knits. On her wonderful YouTube channel, she was showing how to do that one. And so that was my first scarf outside of a seed stitch scarf. That was my very, very first scarf. So the one-row scarf was my second scarf I ever made. I added some French to it. It was very, very cool. I believe I still have a picture of it, so there is the picture if I can find it in my photos bin and Google. But I think if I do that without the fringe and the beads, then I can make another one-row scarf for my brother, and then they can kind of be like twinsies, like a more feminine version, and then the masculine version for my brother. Otherwise, I still have tons of sock weight yarn that is just around, and I could do maybe just a plain stockinette or a seed stitch or something like that for him. I'm not too sure what kind of scarf, but he's definitely getting a scarf. And that's where I am. So I don't have anything at the end of July, and I don't have anything through August, but I still have, other pattern books to think about, and I'm still on the fence as far as how long those projects are going to take me. Do I want to pick up making a project for my brother's friend? He's basically brother status with my brother used to be in the active military. He's in the reserves now, from Air Force, and he made a really good friend through they were doing classes I think after basic, and they've just been best buds ever since. And so I know this person not 100% very well, but I know that he's very involved in family gatherings and stuff. So he's basically my family has adopted him as another member of our family, and I haven't knit for him yet either. So I figure my cousin's boyfriend and this good family friend, adopted son, nephew type guy could have some gifts this year. So that's my ideas. So I left the rest of the year blank because I'm just not sure yet where to pop in their gifts, what to knit them, because I still have some other pattern books to kind of mull over, and then I still have all my other projects that I have to do, which are my diagonal Afghan that I've been I just finished the last square at the end of 2020, so I have to cast on, and I have 24 more squares to do. I have, whenever I finish my Julie Mimi cardigan, so that'll probably be 2022 spring outfit to wear. And then I have my magic number blanket for my good friend, and I have my cat mat, but that's kind of like an ongoing one where there's not really a deadline because it's all just scrappy yarn scrappy 100% wool yarn, because it's going to be felted at the end of the day. And yeah, so that's where we are. I know this wasn't the point of the video, was to go over the calendar, but I did just want to give you an update of where I am with the other projects. So back to what I'm working on today for Sunday, because this is the last day that I can work on this sock. So as I mentioned, this is a DK weight. This is 100% merino wool. This is the Hufflepuff line of the Hogwarts Houses limited run. I don't think they have any more of the Ravenswood Fiber Company brand. And because this is DK, I thought I would try something different. I've knit vanilla socks pretty much for everybody except for my brother's fiance the last couple times. 2019 I did a picot edge for her sock, but it was vanilla the rest of the way. 2020 I did the 3x1 rib across the instep, and that was the Wise Hilda training sock from not just socks, it was custom socks, something like that. I forget, I have the book somewhere around here. And then I decided to change it up because I wanted to do lace. I wanted to try lace, but I didn't want to do anything crazy. And then I used the Ann Budd Getting Started Knitting Socks, and she has a whole section on lace patterns, different styles, not an extensive list or exhausted list of styles, but just, you know, a good handful of some variety for you. So I chose the very first lace example she had, which was a 4-stitch repeat, 2 rows. So you do 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, and then you have to do row 1 of 1 2 3 4, and then row 2 of 1 2 3 4, but like a different thing. So this is basic. This isn't anything fancy. This isn't anything super top secret, but if you see through my hand, maybe you can see the little holes here of the lace. I'm looking in the monitor to see if you could see it. I tried this on last night after I finished it. Saturday I just finished the sock because I wanted to get to a spot where I could knit and talk to you guys, and where I was with this one wasn't a good spot to talk and knit at the same time. So I was like, let me finish this up so I can cast on sock 2 very, very, very early this morning. Went to bed, and then I was like, okay, now I can film with you guys. But basically the pattern is just across the top of the foot. So the instep, I have a repeat of the 4 6 times. So 6 times 4, my math, is 24. So 24 stitches across is the pattern. And then because it's DK, for a lady's size 8 to 10, this is a 26 stitch across instep. So because I have a repeat of 24 stitches, I have 1 stitch and 1 stitch on each end just to kind of border the pattern across the top of the foot. So The pattern is a 4-stitch repeat of knit, or slip, slip, knit, yarn over, knit 2 together. That is the pattern. And then row 2 is knit, purl, knit, knit. And then that repeats. Knit, purl, knit, knit. Yep, so that's through 4, and then the row 1, like I said, is slip, slip, knit, yarn over, yarn over. So slip, slip, knit, yarn over, knit 2 together. So yeah, that's the 4. So we are there. Now the details of this one. So this is what my cake looks like right now. After I've already knit my first sock, this is how much I have left. Again, the folks that I knit for are generally not long, mid-calf type folk. And for my sake, it helps to have something mid-way range where it's like somewhere around ankle length, maybe upper shin, mid shin, low shin, low shin, so that I can go through my projects quickly without doing a really, really long leg. And then they also have a project within the size that they generally go for like the socks that they buy in the wild, in normal setting. So here we have our cuff. I just finished doing the basic cuff. It's a 2x2 rib. I did 10 rounds of 2x2 rib. That's kind of like my standard, somewhere between like 10 and 15 rounds of cuff before I start doing the heel or anything. But I wanted to get the pattern going before I did the heel. So I have a little bit of a longer leg than normal because we have cuff here and then we have the pattern here. And so I did 14 rounds of pattern before I started to do my heel. So we'll see where we get with this one, and then we will work on the heel. So I've been sitting kind of like half cross-legged and my foot is asleep, and I've woken it up, got a new reel of video because we were about 6 minutes till the end of the timer, and I'm like, ooh, good point, let me stop right now and then we can start knitting. But of course, I didn't talk about what's new and what's good with me before we start. I know this is like one of the most random, well, it's not the most random video, but it's definitely like one of the more long form videos that I've had in a while because I've done like a lot of really short ones. So what's new, what's good with me? Well, I don't know if I told you guys already. It still seems kind of new to me, but I had another virtual doctor's appointment with my dermatologist, and they noticed, so my eye is still puffy, and there's still some texture there. It used to be watering like all the time. You may have seen a couple videos where I'm just like patting my eye because it just wouldn't stop watering. A little bit after our trip out of town, it stopped watering. So I'm like, that's good. But the puffiness is like here and then it's gone. It's here, it's gone. Dermatologist prescribed me another topical ointment, but this time it treats like fungus. So he wasn't sure he was pretty sure it was eczema, but he wanted to treat for fungal, like a contact dermatitis kind of situation, which is what I thought it was initially. And so he gave me that, and then that kind of helped with some of the puffiness. It still comes back. Like right now, my eye is a little bit swollen. It just kind of depends. He said like pressing down kind of helps drain the lymph nodes, but it's kind of weird that all of a sudden it would be puffy even though I haven't had to do any of that kind of drainage massage before. So it seemed a little weird that he's like, oh yeah, just do that and it'll help with the puffiness. And I was like, but my face has never been puffy like that before. and it's just the one side. So I thought the watering of the eye was because of the swelling and it was like pushing on a tear duct or something. But the watering has stopped, but the swelling hasn't completely. But it isn't anymore where it feels like heavy on my eye. So that's good. He also said it might take up to 6 weeks for whatever I have to clear up. So there's that. So I've still been applying my ointment twice a day. I've been alternating like how I layer it. Sometimes I do the fungal cream first and then the eczema cream on top, because the fungal cream actually like absorbs into my skin, while the eczema cream is more like an oily ointment, kind of like if you had Neosporin or some kind of like healing ointment where it's kind of just like this greasy goo that you put on your face, and so it doesn't really absorb anywhere, it just kind of moves around. So I usually put that one on after I put the one that actually absorbs into my skin. But overall I would say there has been some improvement, but like it comes back, and it's not only on my eye, it's a little bit right here, and then it's like on my lip. And so when it gets bad, you know, I have to put more on, but because I am a human and I eat and I talk and I drink and I sleep and I rub on things, you know, it doesn't always stay. So it's, even though I'm supposed to put it on twice a day, it's more effective to actually stay on if I do my lip treatment at night. So I put that on at night, and then I do like my nose and my eye during the day, unless I have to go out, because if I wear a mask, the instructions say, you know, don't cover it up with a bandage. So even if I had a mask on, you know, my face mask, when I go out, I can't actually put like a band-aid there to keep the ointment from like rubbing into my eyeball or anywhere else on my face. Same with my nose, it's just going to rub into the fabric of the face mask and it's not going to work. So those days it's trickier, and I've been going into work more often to try to get projects done and ready before we fully open and have like everybody back. So I've been wearing my mask a lot more often, which is could be the cause of the contact dermatitis and the irritation, but it's weird because it's not anywhere else, it's just on this side of my face. But anyway, so that's kind of been resolved. So that's like a new and good thing with me. I had a job interview, so I had to take all my pillows down because I felt like it's not professional, even though it's me, and they would get the full me, the full paws and pearls experience if I had my pillows in the background. I had to interview in here because I knew my cats would want to be part of the process if I tried to do it in my normal area where I would have like my camera set up for stuff like that. So I had it in here and it went pretty well. It's an out-of-state position, so I'm not sure. I was actually the last person that they interviewed, and that was on Friday, so a couple days ago from when I'm filming. And I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, I always think every interview always goes well for me. I always think like I killed it, like, and it's good. But you know, there are always other people who have other levels of experience and things like that. So I'm not holding my breath. I'm actually going against what I normally do by jinxing myself. I feel like I jinx myself if I speak something out into the open, and you might be able to relate to that. I do know people who are like that too, where, you know, if you speak something into existence, it makes it like not happen, like you jinx yourself. So I don't know if that's still like one of my superstitions, but I'm one of those people who just like casts a wide net, and I am persistent. So it's been a while. You guys have listened to me talk about my job hunting journeys before, and you guys know how I feel about my current position and that it's like time for me to move on. So I haven't given up. I am still actively looking for jobs, and I'm glad that I had at least one recent interview. So that's a good thing. Even though I don't know what the outcome will be, I'm glad that I am still getting callbacks. And I've had a few So at least I'm in practice. Whenever the right one comes, it will come, and my employer is aware that it's been a while that I've been looking for other jobs, so I was very clear when I started my job too that it was like more of an introductory type thing because it was my first job and in my field as a professional after getting my master's. So they were all aware that Paws and Pearls wouldn't be there for forever. So it has definitely been that time for a while that I move on, grow my wings, and fly the nest somewhere else with this good experience as an entry-level person in my field. So with that being said, I am still looking for work, and I'm saying it's good news and it's new news because I found a lot of stuff that I can do. Unfortunately, not all of it's, I mean, not that I need to stay in my state, but it makes it so much easier to relocate within your state than trying to like find a new area to live in and, you know, get your bearings in a totally new environment. Like even new neighborhoods, it's like kind of tricky sometimes, but a whole new state, new laws, new taxes, housing rules and things like that. It's always something else, and I haven't moved out of state since I left home to come to where I live now for college. So it's been like 13 years or so since I have relocated in such a drastic way. But I am looking for more experiences, and my partner is pretty supportive. They're lucky their field of work is pretty mobile, so you know they can find a job pretty much anywhere, but mine is a little bit more specialized, so it's trickier for me. Not saying it's impossible, but if I want to stay in my track of work, I have to be a lot more selective, and it's a lot more competitive in that aspect because there are so few openings that have the right pay grade and the right, you know, amount of work and balance with everything else and experience levels that they're asking for. And you know, there are even niches within the niche of my field that make it kind of hard to find stuff. So when I move, it's like a big deal. But yeah, those are the new updates with me. So I know this video is like really long, but now that we've done that, sticking with my focus so that I don't go into some weird tangent. Well, there's always a tangent, but like more focused tangent. I'm going to stick my hand in my pocket of topics, and I have some new ones. After I got back from my vacation, I wrote down a bunch more that I'm going to cut up and add to my baggies, so we have some new topics. But ooh, interesting. Speaking of relocating, the topic is favorite seasons. There's a parentheses with an S there, / environment. So that is the topic. So let me go ahead and, where's my, okay, so I have my DPN. I am ready. We are going to go ahead. So my favorite, if you're new here, so this is for the folks who don't know me, my favorite season is definitely fall, but it could also be spring. It's just kind of like that transition period where the weather isn't crazy hot or crazy cold, where I am comfortable walking around. I don't break a sweat just from, you know, taking my trash out or, you know, taking the 10-15 minute walk to my job. And I can wear, you know, a couple light layers, like maybe a sweatshirt and maybe a hoodie, maybe just a light jacket, and I'm fine. And that's my favorite time because then I can also just kind of relax and enjoy myself and not have to worry too much about the weather. So that's like my favorite season is mainly fall because I like it to be a little bit cooler because I run hot when I'm active, but at the same time it's like spring is good too. Spring is just fine as well. But that's kind of where I am. And environment, it's kind of tricky because okay, so like my partner and I went to this state park and we had a really nice time, but it was like foresty, and I like that, you know. I'm from the Northwest, as heavily wooded areas, so I'm used to being around nature like that, but I don't like the bugs. So the bugs are not so fun. I do enjoy beaches, but then again, it's like the weather can be a problem. So sometimes that's a little discouraging, but I love the city. I like being in urban areas where there's, not that I like to do things, but just to know I have options where things are close by. It doesn't take me a million years to travel to, you know, get to the grocery store or go out to dinner. Well, back when going out to dinner was, you know, something you do. Going to the movies, or, you know, going get some clothes or something. So, you know, activities, you know, if I want to go sightseeing, if I want to be by my friends, it's easy to get to them. Public transit is abundant because I personally don't, not that I don't like driving, but if I can, I'd rather do public transit and stuff like that. So it's like, I love a city environment. Countryside is cute. We were out in the countryside for our trip, and then we had to drive over to where the forest location is, and that's fun. I used to go fishing a lot with my uncle when I was little, and you know, we'd wake up really early and drive out to the country, to the lakes, and you know, that was nice. But as far as living, I would not want to live in the country. I'm all about like those horror movies where something bad happens to you and you're out in the boonies and there's nobody to know that like you're dead or your house is on fire, or it takes like 20,000 years for the police to get to you. You really have to make it a whole excursion to, you know, get gas for your car, go to the grocery store, because the nearest grocery store is like 30 miles away, and all of that stuff is just not appealing to me. But you know, if I had like a vacation house or I was out visiting a friend or something, you know, a temporary situation isn't so bad. I could manage that. But as far as like living situation, I prefer to be around people only because it's like, it's a convenience and it's kind of like a safety thing. But I love the peace and quiet. Like when anyone's out of town and it's just nice and quiet in my house, it's really nice. It was so quiet when we were staying in our cottage for our little vacation. That was really peaceful. Like no dogs barking, no cars, no sirens, no nothing. It was just so quiet. That was really enjoyable. And I could get used to that, but I need civilization. So let me know in the comments what your preferred environment is and what season or seasons do you like the most. Like right now it's so cold here. There's snow. It snowed actually. Well, actually, I say actually a lot. I'm sorry. It's just kind of like my word, my transition word. And in the video where I showed you guys my recap of my vacation, it snowed there and it snowed in my area. So even though I was like 2.5, 3 hours away from where I live, we drove all the way back up and there was snow the whole way home. And it snowed again and it snowed again and it's still really cold, so it hasn't warmed up enough to melt anything, and it might not for another couple months. So I'm hoping that it doesn't snow any more than it already has, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm really not holding my breath that it's gonna let up anytime soon. But because it's so cold, it's like I don't even want to get up and out of the house to just go to work. Like I wait until my partner gets home and I borrow the car. Like I just don't even want to walk the 10 minutes to my job when I need to be in there like all day, just because it's like I don't want to leave my house because it's so toasty in here. So that's what's up with me. And this is my knit and my purl round. So I am just keeping track of what I've been doing. It's pretty easy. Like this 4-stitch pattern is super easy. It's just kind of like remembering where you are, because it kind of starts to look the same after a while. Not gonna lie, like your purl, or not your purl, but your slip knit versus your knit two together, because they come right next to each other, so you kind of have to remind yourself where you are, and then obviously look down to see where you are as well. But it's kind of tricky. And then because you yarn over twice, you kind of just have this, when you purl and you let it go, you just have this floppy bit of yarn right here that you bring your yarn back around to knit through, and it's just kind of like such a big hollow, it just doesn't even feel like you're doing it right. It's just like I'm used to nice little tight loops that I have to knit through, so when I get to that yarn over, I'm just like, what? It's kind of weird. But I've got everything like I need it. I'm literally just doing these 2 rounds, guys, because I've gabbed and gabbed and gabbed so long, and I still have another video to film after. I know, I feel like I'm not giving you enough attention, but it is actually for you. It is another video for you, so don't worry. But I will have to take, I know it's almost 4 now or something like that, but I do need to eat lunch because I had a late breakfast, so I'm just all behind, and I want to make sure I get everything done before it gets too dark, because it's already kind of getting dark right now. So there we have it. We're just a little bit of our stitching through. I'll mark this round. So now I have 10 more rounds to go before I can reserve my stitches in the back. Or no, I'll need the stitches in the back. I'll need to reserve my stitches in the front, so then I can start doing the heel. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a good one, and I will see you soon. Bye.